Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah.
Yo.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Fucking hell of a day already.
Yo. Tell me about it. I'm here. Moving parts, just trying to get normal life accomplished.
Oh, is it already summer vacation?
Yep. Like 2.5 weeks now.
Dude. So like, what's top of mind? I've been in like a whirlwind of just like personal work, like my summer vacation starts next Monday. I'm heading over to Korea. So I'm just like heads down, getting everything ready for Starbucks, couple drops this week. It's craziness. And then the market is going absolutely insane, like rebounding, like how many thousands of dollars in BTC and ETH jumping like $200 over a couple of days.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. What have I been? Dude, I'm sort of like doing the same thing that you are. Actually, man, I've been because it's been summer vacation, I've been spending more time with my kids than I normally get to and everything, and have been like my kids have been watching me do stuff, and I've been like, playing Minecraft with my son and shit, and it's like actually like been really interesting, like me sort of participating in his version of what we're doing and vice versa a little bit more. So it's been like kind of fun. But I'm sort of in the same mode, man, just like trying to keep all the pieces together. We got this Aavegotchi event coming up. Would be cool to talk about tomorrow.
Dude, yeah, I mean, let's start with that because that's probably the meatiest WIP we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
So many moving parts. Yeah. Just unpack it.
Cool. Right now, are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, cool. Yeah, I can unpack that. So we've known Aavegotchi forever, right? They've been on the WIP like multiple times. A couple times, not even too long ago, they were pushing out updates and had cool stuff to talk about. So they've been friends of ours for a long time. Obviously I've been working with Monaverse for a while, and so I've been actually trying to bridge these two projects for a long time together. And Justin from Monaverse met a couple guys, I think Thrax, and it slipped me. I don't think it was Coder Dan from Aavegotchi at one of these conferences recently, and got to talking about how to bridge this gap, and they both knew me, and so to make a long story short, I got in contact with Zbot, who is our homie from Aavegotchi, and he's been working on VRMs to get them ready to go and got them polished up a little bit. And so this event is actually going to be like Aavegotchi's VRM debut in Monaverse for sure. I think in the 3D metaverse overall. I know the plan for them is to start using VRMs more and more just because of their interoperability, and Aavegotchi's always been in the metaverse game and ahead of the curve, but their metaverse is 2D, so they're trying to enter the 3D realm as well. So this should be cool, man. We got a couple games lined up. We're gonna get everyone changed into Aavegotchi VRM, so we'll all be like Aavegotchi ghosts running around. We've got Big Yellow Fish in there to do some recording, video content and stuff. We got Trax in there who's also going to be recording from Aavegotchi's side. So we're going to do a whole bunch of goofy, fun things to get some cool footage and like fun content and everything while playing some games. We'll end it at the Mona Event Center, which is like all decked out with all these Aavegotchi banners and everything. And DJ Zombie Shepherd, who they put me in contact with, who I actually have come across several times in the past as well, which is cool. But he will be DJing the after party and everything. So, plus we got Fabiano and Patricia, giveaway, on top of like all the cool normal stuff we're already doing. So So yeah, this is like sort of like a banger of a collab between Aavegotchi and Monaverse that the WIP meetup got to host and produce and everything. So it should be a good one, man. And this is like right before our summer break too, and it feels like a lot of back channel conversations going on, getting this event sorted out, and it feels like a big event is coming up. They've already pushed out stuff on their end for promo, and Monaverse has too, and it's cool to like I don't know, kick off summer vacation with like a exclamation point on the last event heading into it. So I'm stoked, man. Aavegotchi community is so fun, right? I mean, like every time we do something with them, they turn out and like their attitudes are just really positive, and you love to see that.
Yeah, I love how we normally head into like our breaks whenever we take them with these bangers. Like going back to like 2021, the summer then, I think we had like Poopy, like Now of Doodles, but previously, I guess Crypto Kitties, Whale Shark. I think like Jiho's co-founder at Axie, Alexander, I think, was on. Like it was like a big ass panel. It was like epic. But we throw these ragers right before we go on our vacations. It's the best. It's always something like a nice little pinnacle or climax to like our random seasons that happen sporadically, to just dip out after we throw a rager. So par for the course, and like happy to keep that tradition that I guess somehow just came about intact before we do that for our longest break yet, 3 weeks. I don't think we've had like a 3 week straight break before, 2 weeks before. But god damn, I'm so excited, man. And I'm properly unplugging for like the first time in, I don't know, I want to say like a decade, but at least like 5 years. Can't wait.
Oh, that's great, dude. More power to you. I think in previous summers, we've sort of had a couple sporadic breaks where like we took a week or two off, and then like later on took another week off, like just, balancing both of our schedules and everything. So this actually feels better, to be honest with you. Like it's a nice solid break in the middle of the summer. We're going to come back strong. We should talk about what's coming back, because that's also something to look forward to. But it will be nice to just sort of like unplug. This is like, I mean, we know, man, like realistically, this is like the deadest time of year to be doing this kind of thing, when a lot of people are on vacation and, spending more time with their family because their kids are out and everything. So this is the time to do it. And I'll be legit unplugging for a little while too. I'll be away for a little while and taking a pause on all the things for, a little recharge. But when we come back, I think the first one back is Bay and Fractillions. Speaking of like great vibes and positive energy, I think the thing says big ass event or something with Bay and Fractillions.
Yeah, it's like Bay plus Fractillions, big ass thing.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
That's what I love about both of them. They like know how we get down, and you're just like, yeah, we're gonna do a big ass thing. Their mesh thing that we hosted with them was awesome, and that was like a prelim to their big mesh event and everything. So it'll be dope to have them back in here. And then we're gonna do this Bring Your Kid to the WIP Day, man, which is actually like really, really exciting. And I've like already been talking to my kids about it, and I don't think they're nearly as excited about it as I am, but I'm excited, man. And I think it'll be like, I don't know, man. People have probably done stuff like this before, but you sure don't see a whole lot of like, people really encouraging, the next generation to dive in here with us and everything. So I'm hoping that'll be dope, man. And maybe we could, keep that a thing every now and again.
Yeah. And anyone listening, like if you've been to the WIP, even if you haven't, but you have a young one or two or three or 10, make sure you come 10. All of them. Just bring all of them, all of them. And even if they have their own kids, like bring all of them plus their kids. Like all the generations are welcome here. But we just really want to use this as this platform, which has happened like sporadically over the past, where folks have brought their kids, or their kids have like listened in, especially during peak pandemic when everyone was so close together. There's so many people who had their kids in the background, and when they put on their microphone, you'd hear them there, or they were actually like logged into Discord, like or going into crypto voxels, flying around, pushing F, and it was fun. It just super cool to expose them. And then this time having like a more focused spotlight on what they're doing, or their thoughts in the space, for better or worse. I think it's always cool to engage and incorporate as much as possible, and have such a flexible platform like the WIP. It's super fun. See what happens. Maybe it's a dud, whatever. It's all a work in progress at the end of the day.
Yeah, dude, I think cool. Like I feel like our community, we're like pretty raw and like in your face a lot of times. Like and don't hold back. Show specifically is one to let it rip, which is awesome, honestly. And I like that we can be that sort of place where people are free to express like candid opinions about like what's going on in the space. And I don't feel like I ever have to like really censor myself if I like, drop a few F-bombs or like whatever. I know it's like all fam and our audience doesn't care, but I also like the idea of like that being our like general vibe, but like also being able to like bring the fam sometimes too. It's like, and give them a peek of what we're doing and everything. And it's fun. We were just talking about this like a little bit beforehand, man. My kids are been off school for a little over 2 weeks now, and are just around more often. So by osmosis, they're just sort of like checking out what I'm doing more. And my kid is like into video games. My son more than my daughter. But it's been interesting to sort of like get a peek into what they're interested in, and like do these thought experiments on like, all right, what's the Web3 version of this? Like this is something that's like all his friends are interested in and into, and what's that like transition point into what we're all trying to build out here and everything, which I think we've discussed before, everyone inherently wants. So I don't know, man. It's cool to sort of weave that aspect into this, and also just been interesting, like on a personal level, sort of like picking my son's brain and getting his take on things. Actually, it was like really funny, dude. I made a post on this last week. I don't know if I showed it to you or mentioned to you or whatever. But my son was just like exploring random worlds in Hyperfy, and I'm like, cool. He just like proactively asked me. He's like, hey, can I go look at random worlds or whatever? I was working on the Sus cabin from Rizzle Fest, and he was like, I'm like, sure, go for it. See what's out there, and it was interesting to just like sort of get his like real time takes on places and everything. But the thing he kept saying, he's like, dude, how is there no battle royale spot? He's like, if I search for battle royale in the metaverse, will a place come up? And I'm like, honestly, man, there's really not a whole lot out there like that. And he's like, Dad, you need to be able to whack each other. He's like, come on, what are you guys doing out here? It's like,
well, I was thinking about this over the weekend. Like, people were getting hacked, as happens, unfortunately, probably too often than we'd like in the space. And it's almost like this whole like being in this space is like playing Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Yeah. You run into some enemy, whatever, and you just like explode your rings. It's not battle royale for sure. It's very much like game like if you think about it, because you're not dead, right? Just your character or your wallet has lost like too much money or too many assets.
Yo, that's a hilarious analogy that I actually really, really like. Yes, on like a grand scale, it definitely feels, and Sonic the Hedgehog is probably like the most apt description if this whole thing was going to be a video game. Yeah, man, it did get me thinking though. Like, I feel like some inherent like competitive spaces would be really fun, and something I feel like would. Anytime we've done stuff like that at the WIP, I mean, you and I both know it can be like the dumbest things, like a jumping course, and it's just so hilarious and fun. And we did the Meta Olympics together. None of those events were like really extraordinarily like they weren't rocket science or like anything like crazy innovative, but stuff like that sort of like inherently invokes competition. I don't know, man. I must have passed some of that on to my son, because he's like, yeah, where where do I? He's like, I want to create a tournament list of like all your metaverse friends. He's saying this to me, and for like a battle royale, like tournament of champions. And I'm like, dude, I bet if we were to have a spot like this and you were to make a list like that, I could wrangle like 90% of them in, because people would think something like that is really fun, especially if we can Web3 it.
Yeah, I mean those group games, the group aspect, the shared experience of like what we did back in Meta Olympics and what we did recently too at Neon Glitch's place with the Simon Says.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
That was so fun, man. And like those shared group experiences are what lasts and what you like really, really remember. Because I mean, even if nothing, you don't stand to get anything. It's wild to do this just in a shared like space that's persistent for everyone that visits it. It's still, I mean, maybe it's old hat at this point, but still, I remember like pre cell phone, pre internet, when we had to like bike over to our buddy's house in our neighborhood. Like that was how we like interacted. Now it's just like you meet someone else around the world that you're legit friends with and do these like virtual and share these virtual experiences with. But yeah, we need the battle royales. We need more programmatic experiences. Like it's cool for us to do it informally and like trust system, whatever. But yeah, having that automated experience and having it more accessible. We know the games are coming some shape or fashion, but I'm sure those are going to be like super. You're either going to love it or hate it. You're either going to be a gamer or not, and there's just going to be like a sharp drop off of people that can participate versus not. As opposed to the spaces we're in, where it's like, yeah, you got a link, you got a cell phone, or you're on your laptop, whatever, all works. You're in there, boom, within like at least like 30 seconds or less. That sort of like frictionless experience or frictionless onboarding to the game itself, like that's what we need. But it needs to be fun, it needs to be fresh, it needs to be simple too. But
yeah. We sort of like I feel like we did a pretty good job of like pivoting the way we approach the WIP in a way that like is very the spirit and like the format remains like a lot of the same, but I feel like sort of I guess halfway through now we made it a point to really focus on having like an experiential component each week to the WIP. And for a long time, especially in the beginning of Web3, in the beginning of Metaverse, NFTs and everything, having interesting speakers and content that people could show up and just absorb the info was enough of a draw to keep people engaged and interested in everything. But I think we both agreed over time, man, upon reflection, that like the most the experiences that stick out the most are the ones where you're actually like in there experiencing something that you're participating in real time. There's some sort of like spectacle going on that you're a part of, that kind of thing. I remember early on, man, and it's crazy the combination of factors that led to some of these early WIP events that were just fucking massive, dude. Right? Like it was like COVID, early Metaverse, early NFTs, early Web3, like the lack of like people being able to go outside, but also find like high level content like on a regular basis anywhere else was just like leading to like insane numbers, man. And I remember some of these group shots and large events that we had in like the early Token Smart amphitheater and the lounge and everything, where the place is just fucking packed. And
oh my God, man, you remember like how packed those places used to get? It was fucking insane. How
it was insane. Yeah,
hundreds of folks like, over the course of the WIP too. But like concurrently, it was like oftentimes breaching that 100 individual mark. It was nuts.
Yeah, man, and that was like sort of our thing for a while, right? We just line up banger speakers from projects, but eventually, I think the space sort of caught up to us, and that type of information started to become more readily available and more sort of copycat, event projects, not in like a bad way, but there's just more things for people to go to hear about more things. And so, yeah, we made that conscious decision to sort of shift to what made some of the most memorable whips the most memorable. Yeah, man. And I honestly feel like it's really hard to, it's hard to imagine how big some of those crowds were, but it was really like a perfect storm of like, external factors that I think led to those. It would be awesome to get back to it, but I also feel like even with the lower numbers that we experience these days, which are still like solid turnouts comparatively across the space, like real solid turnouts comparatively across the space.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like almost all of our whips have some really memorable component alongside of them, right? Like if you like scroll through the WIP Twitter now, compared to when you would have like 2 years ago, you would have been like 2 years ago, like that was a really interesting speaker, that was a really interesting project, I got some cool alpha, like blah blah blah. I feel like now you still do that, but you're also like, oh damn, that was the time we like ran around the Gotchiverse for the first time and like, picked up little coins and learned about that thing, and I feel like that just adds like so much to making these things memorable.
Yeah, I feel like we're able to see the diehards more, which is always super cool. And like I feel like there's so many like unofficial WIP crew members at this point. Like Brocock, I mean, he is a WIP crew member, but like my God, man, like you couldn't ask for a better human being. And everything that we've been doing like since way back in the day, he's been at all the WIPs. Like Dragonate on the inside with the like, we had him in the box for the longest time. Everything that Dragonate does, man, like from audio to hooking up all the virtual cables to helping put together the weekly emailer and like all of that for the WIP announcements and everything like that. Show, man, like you're to your point earlier, having such a raw space where we can all like say that shit that very few people feel comfortable sharing anywhere else for many reasons. Like it's awesome. It feels so happy to have this fucking crew. And then even like the folks that like Trippy Yogi, Sandy Meows, everyone else that like comes and goes, it's cool, man. Like this is our traveling virtual circus, right? You can hop in and out whenever you want. And to have that, it's just so cool. And like to have the turnout every week that we continue to do, even in the bear, and have the ability to make those fun memories and see other people making their own memories, man, that's it. And we're just, whatever happens, like this is just, it'll be around. And I mean, maybe it turns out to be an awesome platform that just explodes in the future, or maybe not. Whatever, either way, it's a win, I think, personally for me and you. Just to be a part of like whatever this thing we call the WIP Meetup is.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's like my favorite thing. And actually, dude, our audience is like so awesome for the reason that you mentioned, man. But it's also really cool. Like this week, we're gonna put together like a big ass event. Expect like a lot more people to show up maybe than normally do, because we got like a whole bunch of other communities like feeding in with substantial followings and everything. But it's also cool that if we put an event together that doesn't feature people who are as necessarily, or projects that are as necessarily well known, we still get like really solid turnouts. And I feel like that's awesome, because we've like earned the trust of our audience enough that even if they haven't necessarily heard of someone or really know exactly what's going on, they're down to show up and see what's going on, because they know we're not going to put anyone up here that like is a bunch of bullshit or going to try and scam them, or is like doesn't have something interesting to talk about or deliver. So it's cool to be able to use it as like a way to showcase like lesser known people as well, but still be able to count on a decent amount of people coming out to, check out what some of these people who maybe lesser known have going on. Dude, do you remember there's some project, I think Strawberry Sith like introduced them to us or something. And it had something to do with like, you bought the NFT and you got a real wood piece of something, or I forget exactly what it was, but it was like so early and weird and cool at the time. and that person like sold out like via the WIP pretty quickly, and was just like totally blown away that everyone that we were able to highlight their project and get it so much exposure, but also like put it in front of an audience who like thought something like that was so cool and interesting in the first place. So I don't know, man. It's just sort of like a ramble. Like our audience is dope, man, and it's cool to sort of feel like we've earned their trust in how we curate and pull off these events.
Yeah, I remember that woodworker who incorporated NFTs. I think we had them on Mars as well when we were in our like interview phase on that side of things as well. I'm trying to figure out what that was, but yeah. There's just like so many random stories from the past. I mean, we're going into vacation, so what who is it?
Sorry, go ahead, man. Finish that thought.
Yeah, I was just saying I love this kind of like nostalgic reflection on the past heading into vacation, and this sort of dovetails with what's coming in August, like the 4-year anniversary when you like reverse spotlit me. Like,
yes.
We're gonna do that again.
That'll be fun.
That was so fun, man. That was so fun, and that really like that was the genesis for Mars, for really the WIP, to be honest, right? And like everything we fucking done in between. Like you, myself, and then like if we had bigger teams or whatever for any of these things, I love it, man. It's very important, I think, to reflect from time to time and like see what's changed, what's the same, and to remember like where everything started. Dude,
speaking of which, Maki, Big Brother Maki or whatever, is suing Zach, and I somehow didn't even put like 2 and 2 together until I started reading the article and everything. And then I was like, wait a minute, is this the same Maki dude who like we had on the WIP like really, really early on? And sure enough, man, we really early on, he had some gallery in Crypto Voxels and approached us and was like, hey, want to show off this gallery, like something. And we were just, that was at the time, honestly, when Crypto Voxels was like pretty much a barren wasteland. So like, anything new that people were building, we were like, almost always down to check it out. But I think we actually still have some Maki X that he sent us in the WIP Gnosis account. I think it's like worthless. I have no idea how much he sent us, but that was like this. So I'm reading all the, scam coins or whatever, alleged scams. Dude, anyway, Maki X was the one that like did the worst. I was like, shit, dude, if we like did a WIP with this dude and got a bunch of his junk coin like unknowingly, it's too bad we didn't get like one of the better ones and could have supported ourselves a little bit more with us. But that whole thing was like I don't know, sort of like a nothing burger in terms of like I didn't give it much thought, aside from like he had asked me to like join his DAO, and I was like, dude, I don't like really understand this. And so didn't proceed with any of that, but that it's funny to see him sort of resurface, who I had like honestly completely lost track of, but now put all the pieces together. But I feel like stuff like that happens randomly a lot, where we're like, oh shit, that's so and so from like whatever that we had on like years ago. Oh, they're still like scamming someone or building something or like whatever. But our curation level has I think anyone's susceptible to if you're having steadily rotating guests and projects on, like letting one slip through that is a little bit sus from time to time. But our curation level is pretty solid. You had shared a internal list with me several weeks ago of all the guests that have come across both the WIP and our podcast combined, and it was a stupid list, man. It was like over 400 people or something like that, I think, or hundreds of people, and the
400, like over 400 unique. There's been a lot of repeat guests, like for example, like Cody and Josie, like like not legends or anything like that, just coming back over and over again.
Dude, we need to summon Mark Rendar. I feel like he has not been in the mix for a while. And we had some great WIPs at his spot too. Some early on ones. Remember that train station and everything? I think Point Shark had created it. Yeah, man. So many fun ones. So yeah, dude, this type of stuff is fun, man. Where there's been so much, everything moves so fast, and every week is a new one that it's hard to really take the time to do a long look back on everything. I can't imagine how Song a Day Man does it. Honestly, I've like thought about this before. I'm like, damn, dude, before the previous day's one has settled, if you made a banger, you got to spit out another one. And, the whip moves fast enough for me that I'm like, one a week is actually a good clip. I'm like pretty comfortable with it at this point, but like, having to, I mean, I know he loves it, so I don't think it feels like a job most days, but, continuously cranking things out at like a high level is just, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, shout out Song a Day Man, and shout out Audio Problems. This track was
Yes.
made for us and then like revised for us as well.
So
Ah,
great.
yeah, man. Like, but I agree. Like, our cadence is perfect. It's just enough. If we were to do this like multiple times a week, it's like fuck. Like, something's gonna break at some point. It's like too much to
Yeah.
prepare.
We tried, man. We did it for a little bit with WIP Asia, and it wasn't not worth the experiment. But I think after a while, you and I were both sort of like, this pace is just like sort of unsustainable for you and I to continuously do on our own. But then we got Scott in the mix. Shout out Scott from Numoa Art, who also came to Rizzle Fest and did the photogrammetry session and everything. And he was, pulling off some WIP Asias for a little while. And that, dude, that's like really cool. That is even like a thing that we know someone like Scott who we can just trust to be like, yo, man, yeah, you want to do a whip in your own time zone? Like, have at it. We'll support that. So I don't know, man. We're so cool. The whip is so cool.
Yeah, the guests that we got through WIP Asia too. Like, we got Yatsu, whatever, from Animoca. We got Sandeep from Polygon. Like, just like think of like those two examples. Actually, WIP Asia was, I almost think I intentionally set it up so we could have a better time for like Ben to hop on from Crypto Voxels, because the time zone was too much for us to get him on normally. Yeah, but yeah, we're kind of fucking awesome.
Yo, shout out Ben, who like randomly crashed a whip a few weeks ago when we were in Crypto Voxels and with changed out Brian Brinkman's spot and everything, and he was like sort of goofing around in the chat. Yo, I gotta say, Ben, I love Crypto Voxels like new lean into the community, which I feel like I hope is not like too little too late, because that was like a gripe of everyone's for like a long time, that they were sort of functioning in their own like silo. But seeing them just sort of like reward previous builders with new parcels for free on this island that they're building, and shouting them out on like social media with like, they even said something. I don't know for certain that it's been posting all these tweets, but like, I saw some post about, Brookhawk's giving them some shit, as have like a bunch of us, but it was like, we don't always see eye to eye, but you're like a legend and here's some spots or whatever. And I'm like, yo, this is like some good shit that I hope everyone else is paying attention to, because, you and I both know you don't have to have like the nicest, flashiest, greatest thing in the entire world to get a bunch of people in there who enjoy hanging out and enjoy using it. Showing the people who are using your thing love and encouraging them and helping them goes a hell of a long way in sort of building trust and community and everything. So shout out Ben for crashing the whip for the first time in a long time, completely unprompted, which made it even better. And showing the community a lot of love, because there's been a lot of love for Crypto Voxels over the years, so it's nice to see it come back around.
Yeah, and shout out to Josh, right, who was at Rizzle
Yeah.
Fest.
Hell yeah, Josh is cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, for people that have been around since the early days, it's as a user, like, you always think about like what could have been, like, that choice was definitely like the worst one. I mean, and on the flip side, even coming from Cent too, like I really, really strongly sympathize with where Ben's at and like what he's had to go through and all of that. he had a tweet the other day that really resonated with me. I think he was just talking about leaning into like what you're just saying, like the leanness and like the small company size, like three, four
Yeah.
folks max, and realizing it's probably not going to be another like multi-million dollar company. Maybe it could be, but like not banking on that or anything, and just trying to preserve what he has and make sure that he can have fun building this like for years, hopefully decades to come. Like that's the best outcome ever for any project. Knowing that he's still with it and still excited by it, even though it has dramatically changed, right? For a lot of these other projects that today may be bigger, have bigger names, doing more things, like if shit really does hit the fan there, like are those projects even sustainable? Like if like 25% of the company leaves, 50%, what about like 95% downsize? Will they be around still? Most likely not. So in that perspective, crypto voxels is almost coming around to be like a very safe play in the metaverse, knowing that as long as Ben's here and he has like one or two other strong men around him, like we're good. But also it's like one person. Um, but still, like he's been here since the very beginning. So
Yeah.
there's so much weight and credit that creates. So yeah, epic shout out to the Godfather, Ben Nolan.
Yeah, you hate. I know they had to downsize, and that was like not something that anyone wants to do. But people trying to survive, and yeah, dude, it's hard to think that whenever the next like bull run is that now all the big investors have sort of we've caught their eye, right? Like not you and I specifically, but the space in general has caught their eye, and we had like this really wild like period of investments from like more mainstream investors, and it's hard to think that the next round that's quite even if the crypto market goes up, like that is at quite the level that it once was, because I think a lot of people who are more risk averse than we did got totally wrecked in this bull market. And so you have to wonder what the level of hesitancy will be for like big investors coming in the next big round of the next big cycle or whatever, which comes back to your point of like building a sustainable team, because I think a lot of people built as if the train was never going to get off the tracks or veer to one direction and everything. And I think a lot of people who had a runway are still sort of building with the anticipation that if they can hang in there for a little bit longer, that next big round of funding will come. But I don't know, man. I feel like there's been so many failures, like honestly, that I just you got to wonder like how much do those need to stack up before people start to just be like, this is the ratio in this space in general is just not very good.
And honestly, like projects that are banking on funding, like I would stay away from them as much as possible. Like it's if you're not profitable now, or you're not the near term to become profitable just because you're integrating crypto, that's tough, man. That's such a tough mountain to keep climbing. It's like a Sisyphean task there, because you're always like, oh, even if you get a fundraise today, it's like, how much runway is that? You're almost like on to the next raise at that point if you can't get it to profitability in the interim. It's such a slippery slope. I feel so bad for founders out there like that and people building a project like that. And I know that a lot of people are speculating on the NFT projects out there that are like, depending on how they manage their treasury, like did they cash out from ETH to stables initially? There's certain things that certain projects can do to extend their life. But if like the only revenue generating event was like day one or like whatever peak bull mania, my God, there's going to be a whole lot of pain in store for those folks and their communities and anyone that's like stoked on those projects, because all that pain on the project side will translate into the product side normally, like in less than ideal ways, especially ways that probably most users will not like. So anyway,
Yeah, it's I mean, we've talked about this before too, man. I feel like, our stuff still isn't like very good, like to the common person who would start using these tools for like common things. And I keep coming back to just like conversations I'm having with my kid while he's watching me do stuff. And he's like, can I do this? And I'm like, no, you can't do that because like something's like, he's like, well, I can do this in this game. And I'm like, ah. And then he's like, can you do this? He's like, we should be able to do this. And like all these things, and not even just like Metaverse related too, he's just sort of overseeing stuff I'm doing with like NFTs. And, can you do this with them? And there, those possibilities exist within Web 2 now that are like desirable user experiences for the stuff that we're trying to create. And I'm like, the desirable user experience in Web3 like really isn't there, and we're like really not even like that close to it unless you're just a super fan or interested in crypto or whatever, which again I think is to your point of like what are people investing in with some of these projects beyond just like pure speculation that numbers will go up, because we're not really delivering anything revolutionary in terms of like, unless you really understand like the context of Web3 and digital ownership and like that kind of thing, and you're here for that aspect of it. Otherwise, man, our shit is janky, and we've known that, which is why I was like so shocked that the bull market the last time around was like so crazy the way it was. But I feel like we still have a long way to go before we start seeing products come out that like can compete directly with Web 2 products for that like exact same audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it perfect right there.
Thank you. I will take a bow. Dude, it's been fun to just like sort of riff and reminisce on some of the cool shit we've done. I'm always down for that. We should make it a point to continuously bring it back around and do those kind of things. Anything else top of mind, man?
No, man, that's it. Excited for the WIP tomorrow.
Me too.
Crazy that it's Thursday already. And like we were talking at the outset, super excited for vacation. Hope everyone else makes sure to block off like a substantial amount of time, especially this summer, to check out and really have some fun with the family and loved ones and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is the WIP to come to, because we'll be off for 3 weeks and then back with a few bangers lined up. So we won't be gone too long.
Oh, yeah. Boom. There we go.
Awesome, man.
Let me stop the recording here. Oh, that was enough love for you, Dragonate, to power you up on this very late recording. Shout out, Dragonate.
That's good.
One second. Here we go.
It is never enough. I always need more recording, which is why I continue recording.
I may not be able to jump in first.